me was more than anything else in terms of trust and weight and reliability. That's how much Ali ibn Abi Talib loved and respected and trusted the word of the Prophet ﷺ. So one thing that we take from all of these companions, as we're closing this series with Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, one thing that you should take from them is their love for Rasulullah ﷺ. Don't let anybody get you to look at these companions as if they did not love Rasulullah. They loved him ﷺ, and we have to love him ﷺ in the same way that they did. Let's go back, take a few steps back, and try to understand who this Ali ibn Abi Talib is. Anas ibn Malik, listen to this carefully. Anas ibn Malik says, Aliyun ibn al-Islam al-awwal. Aliyun ibn al-Islam al-awwal. The first child of Islam is Ali ibn Abi Talib. Now you know how cool this is? Who's Anas? Anas was 7 or 10 years of age when his mom brought him to Rasulullah ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, I want Anas to be raised in your house. Raise him, take care of him, and teach him. So Anas was a child that was brought up by the Prophet ﷺ. So for him to say the first child of Islam is Ali ibn Abi Talib, he's saying this as someone who was also a child of Islam, raised upon Islam. So it's amazing that another child is saying this about Ali ibn Abi Talib. And why is he the first child of Islam? Because, listen to this carefully, at the age of 6 or 7 years old, Ali ibn Abi Talib's father, Abu Talib, right? Remember, this is the uncle of Rasulullah ﷺ. He was struck by a very terrible case of poverty. Imagine Abu Talib, the one that all of Quraysh loved. He did not have the financial capacity to take care of his own family. He was going through a difficult time. So imagine poverty can happen to the best of us. The father of Ali ibn Abi Talib was struggling to pay his bills, struggling to make ends meet. So the family came together, and Ja'far and Ali ibn Abi Talib, the two children of Abu Talib, it was the Prophet Muhammad. This before he was the Prophet. It was Muhammad ﷺ and Al-Abbas who came together and said, each of us will take one of the children of Abu Talib and raise him. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, I will take Ali, and Al-Abbas said, I will take Ja'far. And they did this because this is what families do. So he would come spend the day, eat, live with the Prophet ﷺ. From the age of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Ali ibn Abi Talib was raised in the house of Rasulullah ﷺ. He would walk with him to the market. He would go with him on business trips. He had an amazing childhood with Rasulullah ﷺ. Imagine what an amazing life. Now here's something to put, to understand this better. When the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was initiated into prophethood, he was how old? 40 years old, right? Abu Talib was 35 years older than Muhammad ﷺ. So this means that when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he was initiated into prophethood, Abu Talib was 75 years old. 75 years old. Which means at this time, when Abu Talib was struggling with his kids, they were, again, 7, 11, 15, in that age, but he himself was in his 70s. You can imagine after all these years, he has kids and it's a difficult time financially. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and Al-Abbas step in to take care of the family. And what's incredible is, remember, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ himself was an orphan. Who took care of him? Abu Talib. Abu Talib took care of the Prophet ﷺ, and now life happens in a way where the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is taking care of Abu Talib's son, Ali ibn Abi Talib. Look at the circle of life. So today, you may be taking care of someone that tomorrow may be taking care of your kids. Today, someone may be taking care of you, and tomorrow, you may be taking care of their kids. And how often have you seen this happen, subhanAllah, where, the teacher who taught you, you end up becoming the teacher to their children. We're all connected, we're a family together. So don't look down on anybody. Don't look down upon the people who don't have. That's an important lesson that we take. Don't turn others away. Don't turn anybody away. You know, something very beautiful happened today at ISNA, right after Jum'ah. One man came in a wheelchair, asking for, financial help, going through a difficulty. And of course, we at ISNA, we don't give zakah. We have other institutions we send the zakah to, and they give the zakah out. But may Allah bless Sheikh Abdullah Idris. He decided, yes, we send the money out to other organizations, but let's keep a little bit, even if it's $5,000, $10,000, so we never turn anybody away that comes to ask. So today this man came to ask. And our first reaction is, when somebody's coming, we ask, do you have a phone number? He doesn't have a phone number. Do you have an address? He's struggling with English, struggling with communication. Do you have this? Do you have any paperwork? Do you have any proof? Very little. There's very little proof. So you're inclined to send somebody like that away. You say, khalas, like I can't help you if there's no pay. How am I going to verify your case? So as I was discussing with Sheikh Abdullah, I was like, Sheikh, this is the situation. There's no verification. Right? Then he looks at me, he's like, don't worry about it. Let's, as brothers, whatever amount, 250, whatever we can, give it to him and don't ask any questions. And he cited an ayah from the Quran, وَإِن يَكُ كَاذِبًا فَعَلَيْهِ كَذِبُهُ وَإِن يَكُ صَادِقًا. As we know the ayah, if he's lying, his lies will get to him. And if he's speaking the truth, we should not disappoint him. He cited an ayah. It's about a story in the Quran, a long story. But this is the idea. It's not, sometimes there could be 2-3% chance that the paperwork is not in check, that he actually is desperately needed. Whatever the case may be, don't turn somebody away. Even if it doesn't come from zakah, because that belongs to Muslims, we have to be very cautious. As brothers, we can give it as sadaqah. What's 250 divided by 5 people? $25 each, right? $10 each, right? What's that gonna do? It's not gonna affect anybody. So one of the lessons we take from this early part of this story of Ali ibn Abi Talib, don't miss out on a chance to give. And give others husn al-dhan. And don't create institutions and bureaucracies that prevent others from receiving, even if it's a small, slim chance. It's better to err on the right side than to err on the wrong side. So that's why Anas ibn Malik says, Ali ibn Abi Talib is أول ابن في الإسلام. أو أول ابن الإسلام هو Ali ibn Abi Talib. Now, as I mentioned, he became a very close companion to the Prophet ﷺ at a very early age. We're talking about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He was following the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, going everywhere with him. Until the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ received revelation. And when he received revelation, of course, he ran to his wife Khadija. She became Muslim. And Ali ibn Abi Talib was among the first people, because he's living with the Prophet ﷺ, to find out about Islam. So he saw the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, sitting and reciting Quran, doing things with Khadija, praying, all of these things. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ invited him. He said, this is what Islam is. Are you interested? Here's what's unique about Ali ibn Abi Talib. From a very young age, he was wise. So what did he say? He said to Rasulullah ﷺ, Ya Rasulullah, anything that comes from your mouth, I would never hesitate. But give me some time to think about it and consult my family. Can you imagine a 10-year-old asking for time to think? When was the last time you came across a 10-year-old saying, let me think about this, let me think this through? Most 10-year-olds, yeah, impulsive. Let's do it. Do it now, think later. But Ali ibn Abi Talib, he was calculated. Calculated. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ tells him, no problem, do as you please. But if you decide not to become Muslim, and that's your choice, please keep this matter private between us so that others won't find out, because it might jeopardize, X, Y, and Z. So Ali ibn Abi Talib went home and he thought to himself, if I tell my father, this might compromise the secret nature of what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is doing, because there's too much at stake now. So he had this, he thought to himself, I can't tell anybody, I have to think about this on my own. And I have to make a decision on my own, because I cannot be breaching confidentiality. Imagine the wisdom. He's telling the story later on. He comes back to Rasulullah ﷺ, Ya Rasulullah, oh Muhammad, right? His cousins, right? Doesn't tell me, repeat to me again what you were saying yesterday. I want to hear it again. I want to hear this Islam again. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ gives him a brief description of what Islam is. La ilaha illallah. It is to worship Allah and none besides Allah. It's to turn away from idolatry. It's to turn away from this and that and the stones. And it doesn't mean those things have no... He gave him a brief description of Islam. Ali ibn Abi Talib says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, and became Muslim. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told him, did you consult your family? Did you speak? He said, no, I did not. I wanted to keep this matter private, but I gave myself time to think about it, and I know that whatever comes from you is going to be good. How many people have that level of trust with you in your life? How many people can you say they respect your decision making, they respect your long history of ethics and commitment, that if you were to tell them something, they would not question it again? These were the friends of Rasulullah ﷺ. And we're not talking about random people who have no, these are mature, wise people. Think about Abu Bakr. His name was the Siddiq, because he constantly believed what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said. Because when you're a man or a woman of ethics and honesty and integrity, people will trust you. And when they trust you, it is very difficult to lose that trust. So may Allah make us people who are worthy of each other's trust. And may Allah make us among those who invest constantly in each other. Ya Rabb, Ameen. One day Abu Talib eventually found out. He saw Ali ibn Abi Talib praying in the house in a specific way. So Abu Talib told Ali ibn Abi Talib, what are you doing? Why are you praying this way? What are you doing? He told him, well, I have to tell you, I became Muslim and I'm following Muhammad. He's saying this and this and that. What did Abu Talib say? Listen to this carefully. He says, Ilzam Muhammad أو إلزم ما عليه محمد فإنه والله لا يضرك. Hold on to what Muhammad is telling you, because it will never by Allah harm you. Hold on. Keep going. He's not Muslim. Abu Talib is not Muslim. But he knows no harm is going to come from the Prophet Muhammad's lips. The Prophet Muhammad, as we know, he invested in Ali ibn Abi Talib, and Ali ibn Abi Talib quickly gained his strength and was a man of bravery, a man of wisdom, a man of knowledge. He learned with the Prophet Muhammad. When you study the Quran, how many of you guys study the Quran formally at a Quran school? Put your hand up. MashaAllah, some of us. When you study the Quran and you get a chain of narration that goes back all the way to the Prophet Muhammad, most of the modern chains of narration that you will get from your teachers go back to the Prophet Muhammad through which companion? Through Ali ibn Abi Talib. Because the Prophet Muhammad taught every word to Ali ibn Abi Talib of the Quran multiple times over and over again. Some of those chains go back to Ibn Abbas, Ibn Mas'ud, but some of the strongest chains go back to Ali ibn Abi Talib, because he was a man of the Quran. And he would study the Quran with the Prophet until it was time for migration. The time came for migration. And we know the story. Ali ibn Abi Talib slept in the Prophet Muhammad's bed. And he was given the responsibility of returning the trusts back to Quraysh. Imagine the same people that are trying to assassinate you, trying to remove you from your own city, trying to ridicule you and do all of these terrible things to you. The Prophet Muhammad, as he's migrating in secret, he tells Ali, don't join me in Medina, stay in Mecca, and don't join me until you have given every person the amana that they deserve. So Ali ibn Abi Talib frantically, he had a list of all the things he had to return, and he was crossing name off, name off, name off as he gave it back. And he had to spend, imagine, a couple, some say, 6 weeks or so, he spent in Mecca returning all of these amanat. Every day he would look for this person. Where are they? They're traveling. Well, who's their family? Who can I give back? Their cousin, this. He would make sure that the amanat are delivered. And when every last amana was delivered, he joined the Prophet ﷺ in Medina. And of course, in Medina, he was a hero in many ways. In Badr, we know he was one of the people to stand, to get up first. The first 3 representatives to show the Muslim strength. He was one of them. And he defeated the mushrikeen on the other side. We'll come back to the battles in a second and see what he did in many of those occasions. But within 2 years of settling in Medina, how old is he now? He's 23, 24, 25 years of age. And he's in a position where he's ready to start his life. And he's looking for a wife. So people tell him, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was approached by the best companions for his wife, for his daughter Fatima, but he refused. You should try to propose. Maybe he has in his mind someone like you for Fatima. And plus, remember, he grew up in the house of Rasulullah ﷺ, so he saw Fatima, Fatima saw him. And you know, when you see each other, there's familiarity and there's respect. So he's like, what, me propose to Fatima? Are you kidding me? I have nothing. What do I have to give? I have nothing. Just try anyway. So when he heard that the likes of Abu Bakr and Umar, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said no to them and to their proposal. For everybody wanted to marry the Prophet's daughter. Who wouldn't have that connection with him? There's a hadith, every connection between families is meaningless on Yawm al-Qiyamah except the connection to my family. That has value in the sight of Allah if it's implemented properly and if it's upheld, the sunnah is upheld. So everybody wanted the honor. So Ali ibn Abi Talib, he's told by his family, try. Eventually he gets the courage and he goes to the Prophet ﷺ in the masjid. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is sitting quietly. This is a good time, late in the night, there's nobody else around. And Ali ibn Abi Talib comes and sits across of him. And he's just looking at the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, not saying anything. He would try to speak and then he would stay quiet. Ya Rasulullah, I came to ask. And he would just, you know, you can imagine the nerves. And he would say, Ya Rasul. And he would just stay quiet. And his cheeks were so red. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, look at the wisdom. You know, some guys, like, in that phase, they will be like, okay, if he can't even get 2 words out of his mouth, not worth my time. But the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he turned to Ali ibn Abi Talib and he says, perhaps, O Ali, you've come to ask me for my daughter's hand in marriage. He's like, yeah, that's it, Ya Rasulullah, that's it. He's like, I would be very happy and delighted too. And so would Fatima. Can you imagine? So he was so happy. He was so happy. And of course, he told Rasulullah, but Ya Rasulullah, the reason why I'm hesitating is I don't have anything. I don't have much to give to her as a mahar. I don't have the capacity to, you know, get her to live the life that she deserves as the daughter of the Prophet ﷺ. He said to him, Oh Ali, what do you have? What do you have? He said, I have my shield which I use in the battle. He said, then give that to her. That is sufficient. Another narration, sell it and give the equivalent amount. That is sufficient. Now tell me, my brothers and my sisters, you know, I don't want to expose anybody, may Allah bless you. But sometimes, as shuyukh, our servants in the community, we will end up being mediators in what I call the mahar battles. Guy calls me, Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. You know, I proposed to this family. Wallah, Shaykh, you know me, I'm a good guy. I try to do the best that I can. I'm trying to do things halal. But the father of blah, 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 he's asking for 35,000 presented and 35,000 deferred. Shaykh, is selling my kidney on the black market halal to afford the mahar? Like, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, my brother, I'm so sorry to hear that. No problem. You know, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said the most blessed of marriages are the ones with the least mahar. It's not a business transaction. It's a nominal representation of your love and your readiness to take care of her financially. Let me see what I can do. Pick up the phone, then we call the other family. And of course, dad on the other side, like, Sheikh, we come from this family and we come from that family. My son, when he got married, he paid 35 and 35, and my other son paid 35 and 35. So if my daughter doesn't get 35 and 35, how is she going to look? What is she going to think? And then we go back and forth. Well, okay, how much is a verse of the Quran mean to you? How much does it mean to you? Sheikh, don't do this to me, Sheikh. Can you tell him to memorize 35 verses instead of 35,000? Can you tell him to memorize maybe 35 surahs instead of 30? What can we do to make this happen? Right? 35 what? Juz? It's only it's 30 ajza. Yeah, astaghfirullah. You have to add 5 ajza to the Quran. Or you have to memorize 30 juz and then memorize 5 juz again. Allahumma musta'an. Right? And then eventually, alhamdulillah, most of the time they work out. But these mahr battles are la hawla wa la, very, very taxing. Right? And they happen more often than we'd like to think. Anyway, so one of the lessons we learn from this is make marriage easy for our children. And this means, by the way, it doesn't just mean making mahar easy. No. Making marriage easy means training your children from a very young age to be responsible, to be hustlers, to have ethics, to have akhlaq, to have the mindset. It's not about the money. There are people, you put them anywhere in the world. Some people you can drop them in, wherever in the world. They'll be able to carry themselves and make it work. Because they have the qualities, they have the mentality and the attitude. So this is one of the most important things that we should remember. Another very important, by the way, did we go over a description of what Ali looked like? Ali ibn Abi Talib, radiallahu anh, in his adulthood and in his youthful years, he was described as having a very long beard and as having very broad shoulders and a very muscular hand and arms. Right? Because he was working hard to provide. He was very strong. And he was described as the closest in physical appearance and speech to the Prophet ﷺ. Why? Because he lived with the Prophet ﷺ. So he spoke just like the Prophet ﷺ. He had physical appearance that was like the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ because they were cousins, right? And he was also known as having the exact same smile as Rasulullah ﷺ. Tamam? And he was also known as having a bald head. He didn't have much hair on his head, but he had a very long beard for the most of his life. And he was actually known to have, some describe him as having the longest beard out of all the companions. Not that it matters. You don't measure someone's deen by the beard, right? But it just gives us at least a visual to think about when we imagine these companions. Now, one of my favorite moments with Ali ibn Abi Talib, to go back just a few years, when the Prophet ﷺ, imagine Ali is 10 years old now, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is 40 years of age, and it was time to publicize Islam and call people to Islam. وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ. The ayah was revealed, now disclose this Islam, this message to the nearest of your family. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, you know the story that we all know. He went on the mountain and he says, Safa, he says, whoever, is here, come, O Banu Abd Manaf, come, O this, come, O this. If I tell you that there's this behind the mountain, would you believe me? Yes, Ya Rasulullah, Ya Muhammad, we would. You know that story. Eventually, what happened after many people turned away, and he would do this over and over again. And one day he says, it is time, O Arabs, to give me your promise of commitment to this faith. You've been hearing about it, and now it's time to act. Which of you is going to commit to Islam? Which of you is going to commit to Islam? He's asking, and nobody's responding. Which of you is going to commit to Islam? Ali ibn Abi Talib is only 10, 11 years of age. He sees the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ asking, nobody's responding. So he gets up and he says, Ya Rasulullah, ana ubayi'uka. Ya Rasulullah, I give you the commitment and I promise and I believe that you're the messenger of Allah. As a kid, 11 years of age, in front of Quraysh. What happens when you do something like that publicly? You're going to get in trouble. But Ali didn't care. So Umar, when he was migrating, he said to the people, guess what, guys? Tomorrow, I'm migrating, following this route. I'm starting at this time with this many camels. This meant that anybody that has a problem, come see me. Umar was brave. So was Ali ibn Abi Talib, even at a younger age. He stood up. He was known to be the first to publicly endorse Islam in front of the Prophet ﷺ. And Quraysh was stuck between two things, saying we should beat him to teach him a lesson, and saying he's too young to understand, just ignore the incident. Subhanallah. But that bravery, not wanting to leave the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ hanging. Can you imagine that kind of personality and what bravery it takes to do that publicly? Sallallahu ala rasulillahi wa ala ali baytihi al-tahirin wa ala ashabihi wa atba'ihi wa atba'i at-tabi'in ya Rabb. Ameen. Listen to this carefully. In the battle of Al-Khandaq. How many of you guys know the story with Amr ibn Wood? Story of Amr ibn Wood. Yeah, you heard it a few times. Ali and Umar and some of you guys. Amr ibn Wood was known as the boogeyman of Quraysh. He was known as the boogeyman of Quraysh. When mothers used to tell their kids scary stories, they would say, don't be bad, because if you're bad, Amr ibn Wood is going to come to you at night and, right? Whatever, fill in the dots. So Amr ibn Wood was that kind of person. And subhanAllah, he was traveling for years, missed out on a few battles, and he came back to the battle of the Khandaq, and he was ready, fresh, thirsty for blood. And there's so many different poems that have been written about his savagery. Some say that he actually kept his hair grown, and he said, I'm not going to shave or cut a hair on my head or a hair on my mustache or a beard until I get rid of Muhammad. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So he jumped the Khandaq, the trench, in the battle of the trench, and he went and he came very close to the Muslims, and with very loud, right, you can imagine a loud voice, saying, I'm here, send me your best warrior so that I can fight them. Now imagine the Khandaq, it's very difficult to cross, right? And he's trying to intimidate the Muslims to do what? To send one of their own. What happens when the Muslims send one of their own and he gets killed? What's that going to do? Other Muslims are going to come, I want revenge. So that will actually cause more Muslims to jump in the trench, and it will give them the advantage. So he's trying to intimidate the Muslims and emotionally manipulate them to come to the trench, and that way it becomes easy to take over Medina. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ knows the plan. He's saying to everybody, don't respond. He's saying, I'm this and I'm that. Who's going to come to making all this noise? Prophet ﷺ says, don't respond. Then Ali ibn Abi Talib gets up, Ya Rasulullah, just let me have him. Please. Ali ibn Abi Talib is told by Rasulullah, just wait. Then he starts insulting Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, his family, insulting all of the Ali ibn Abi Talib, Ya Rasulullah, let me go. Just wait. Then he starts insulting Islam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and everything possible. Ali ibn Abi Talib says, Ya Rasulullah, this is not a battle I'm going to lose. Can I please go? Rasulullah said, okay, go ahead. Ali ibn Abi Talib jumps into the trench. Just to give you the bravery. He's so much younger than this guy. We're talking about he's in his 20s, right? 25, and this guy is in his 40s, a warrior, a general who's been trained, right? For years, he's known as a warrior. And Ali ibn Abi Talib, he says, I'm here, what are you going to do? Amr ibn Wood looks at him and he's like, what did they send? They sent a child? Go back. Tell them to send somebody a bit bigger. Someone with a more, that kind of attitude. I don't want to kill a child. Send me a man. He says, well, I'm ready to kill you. So what are you going to do? Amr ibn Wood is infuriated. So they start fighting. And of course, after some, imagine in the trench, it's freshly dug. There's a lot of dust everywhere. And then what happens after a while? They hear takbir. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. So the companions think that Amr ibn Wood, he killed Ali, and he's saying takbir to trick Muslims to jump, so he can kill more of them. They could not imagine that Ali ibn Abi Talib won that battle. Could not imagine. That's what they think. Then they realized that Ali ibn Abi Talib actually, he was able to overpower him, take the sword from his hand, but he did not kill him. And they asked him, why didn't you kill him? He said, because when I hit him, his clothing got ripped and his private parts were exposed, and I didn't want to, humiliate him further or look at that which is private, so I gave him a moment. Overpowered him and just came back. Can you imagine? Won it, came back, and that was his personality. As a matter of fact, in Medina, he said, and I never looked at a private part that was not meant for me. Imagine in the modern day that we're living in, subhanAllah, on the phones, and how easy it is to access haram, how easy it is to look at haram. These people that Allah gives knowledge and ilm and, a good light in their heart, a good light in their face, a good light in their minds, lightness in the way they think, in the way they articulate themselves. These are people that did not look at the haram. And it's become so much easier nowadays, but put that as one of your goals, is if you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to really bless you, then do your best to avoid that kind of haram, which really leaves a terrible impact on the soul. One of the one of the ahadith that is really, really, really shaking. And this is a hadith that is authentic, by the way. The scholars of hadith agree that this is authentic. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, لا يدخل الجنة. He says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the people who do this will not enter Jannah. الشيخ الزاني. The sheikh, the senior who commits, or the sheikh as in like, the knowledgeable, the respected person who commits zina. And the imam who lies. And the person that is poor but acts arrogantly. But I want you to focus on the first two. He ﷺ said the person who commits zina and they're in a position of leadership or in a position of seniority, a position of respect, that person will not enter Jannah if they don't repent from that. But imagine that's the level to which there is harm associated with that kind of action. Why? Because when you're in that position and you do something haram, what happens? You become a test for people's iman. People begin to look in, is there a discrepancy between what you're teaching and what? You become a fitna for other people's iman. And the imam who lies, same thing. Same thing, it becomes a fitna for people. But may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from that, Ya Rabb, Ameen. As a father who, a sheikh doesn't just mean a sheikh in the community. You're a father. Your kids are looking up to you. You are what halal and haram is to them. And you fall into that? How do you think they're going to, subhanAllah, react? One of the most difficult stories that I've come across was a son who was speaking to me about how he first discovered pornography. That's subhanAllah, terrible. And he said, I didn't know what this is. I have no idea what this is. I trust you and I want to understand what's going on. So I was on my father's computer and I was doing some homework. I went on, the tab to start doing and I found this stuff. What is it? And what's going on here? Can you imagine finding that out through your own father? Through your own family? What a shame, right? What a shame. So we have to be better role models when it comes to our children. And we have to walk the talk. We have to walk the talk and embody it. So take that as a lesson from Ali ibn Abi Talib. He was a man of modesty and he was cautious about where his eyes would look. In the battle of Tabuk, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ assigned Ali ibn Abi Talib to be the leader in Medina. He assigned Ali ibn Abi Talib to be the leader in Medina. And the munafiqeen, the hypocrites, came to Ali ibn Abi Talib and they told him, oh Ali, you're going to stay with the women and the children in Medina while the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ goes to Tabuk and you're going to miss out on all the action. What does that make you? Then, of course, even though it was Ali, it affected him. So he went to Rasulullah and said, Rasulullah, I heard this from them. What do you have to say? He said to him, do you not wish to be like Harun was to Musa? When Musa went to visit, to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to receive, the Torah for the 30 days that became 40, he left Harun in charge. And he chose Harun because he trusted him. He was family. So as if the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is saying, I'm trusting you. I'm leaving you behind because you're somebody I trust. You're family. You're like Harun was to Musa. So this goes to show us how much the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ loved Ali ibn Abi Talib. There was an issue once with some of the people who gave Ali some trouble with the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ while he was alive. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ saw that Ali was upset. So he went to Ali ibn Abi Talib and he held his hand and he says, Man aadha aliyan faqad aadhani. Whoever hurts Ali ibn Abi Talib, he has hurt me. And he said that about Fatima, by the way. Whoever hurts Fatima, bid'atun minni wa ana bid'atun minha. Fatima is a part of me and I'm a part of her. Whatever hurts her, hurts me. And whatever pleases her, pleases me. One of the nicknames of Ali ibn Abi Talib was Abu Turab, the father of dust. Do you guys know how he got that name? One day he got into a bit of a disagreement with Fatima. It can happen to the best husband, wife. It can happen to the best of us. It's okay. Marriage is full of ups and downs. So he got into a bit of a disagreement. He was so upset. He left the house. He went to the masjid. Didn't want to talk to anybody. You know when you're so grumpy and you're so upset and frustrated? So he stayed in the masjid. And back then the masjid didn't have a carpet like now. It was sand on the ground. So he stayed in the masjid. And when the Prophet Muhammad entered the masjid late at night, he saw that he was there. So Ali ibn Abi Talib quickly got up, and as he got up, dust fell from his head, dust fell from his toe, because he was on dust the whole night. So he told him, what's going on, ya Aba Turab? What's going on, O father of dust? And he would tease him. From that moment on, he would call him, here comes Abu Turab. And it made him smile. Right? Because imagine you have to talk to your father-in-law about his daughter, your wife, but you're shy and you would not ever say anything. But the Prophet Muhammad understood, told him, buy her something nice, go back. And he reconciled between them, buy your wife something nice. Now, another important time in Ali ibn Abi Talib, and let's wrap up. There's so much to learn. What time is Maghrib, by the way, coming in today? Just so we 8:08. Okay, so we have 15 minutes roughly. طيب. Very quickly, inshallah, because there's a lot to discuss, but at least it gives us some keys to think about Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ali ibn Abi Talib, radiallahu anh, in the time of Abu Bakr, he was known for his wisdom and he was known for his fatwa. So he was the official person that Abu Bakr used to refer to when he needed fatwa. When a difficult question came up, he would say, Aftina ya Abul Hasan. Umar ibn Abi Talib, Umar ibn al-Khattab, when he was the Khalifa after Abu Bakr, he used to say, Lawla Ali lahalaka Umar. Had it not been for Ali, Umar would have been destroyed. Meaning I would have erred, I would have made so many errors, because he would always go and consult and have shura with Ali ibn Abi Talib. He was an official judge who was responsible for ruling between people, for answering the most difficult fatwa-related questions in the time of Abu Bakr and in the time of Umar ibn al-Khattab. And in the time of Uthman, Ali ibn Abi Talib was consulted as the main to-go person when it came to the Quran and the Quranic compilation. And when he himself became the Khalifa, look at Ali ibn Abi Talib and his humility. He had a house that was given to him as a gift by Umar ibn al-Khattab. Years earlier, he decided to donate that on the first day that he was elected as the Khalifa. And he decided, listen to this carefully, they built him a very nice, beautiful home from which, like a palace-like house, from which he would rule Medina. He said, I don't want it, give it to the poor people. I will stay in my home and I will rule from my home, before, of course, he moved to Kufa. So imagine he donated his own home that was given to him by Umar ibn Khattab, or a home that was given to Umar ibn Khattab. He stayed in his own house and he refused to live in a palace or a place that was luxurious. He used to ride a donkey around Medina. And people used to say, look man, let's give you a camel or a horse. No, I'm making a point. It's not about the huge palaces or any of that. We have to live a life of humility. And remember, he was living in a time where there was a lot of opulence and, showing off in the community. So he wanted to send a message that humility is important. It's an integral part to Islam. He used to wear clothing that was only 3 dirhams worth, 3 silver coins. At a time when people used to wear 1,000 gold coins worth of clothing and decorative things and that. And by the way, wearing good and doing that is not bad. Prophet Muhammad had times where he would really dress up. And the companions, many of them did dress up, including Uthman ibn Affan. But Ali ibn Abi Talib was sending a message in a context where more and more people were beginning to become involved and deeply in love with dunya. Everything has to be understood in its context. Islam did not tell us to wear very raggedy clothing and that's not humility. Humility is an internal act in the heart, but everything has to be understood in context. Tamam. Let's look at some of his incredible contributions to the ummah before we look at the fitna briefly. The first thing that we have to remember from Ali ibn Abi Talib's legacy is that he removed a lot of idol worshipping centers that still remained in Arabia and parts of the Persian world. There was a time in which he was fighting and struggling against some of the Khawarij, and some of his advisors told him, don't attack on this day and time, because from a horoscope point of view, the planets and the stars are not aligned, you're going to lose this battle. He said, what planets and what stars? I believe in Allah, the Lord of the planets and the stars. Some of us nowadays, we look at the horoscope like, oh, today I got to stay home, can't go outside. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Before you get married, you're like, what's your horoscope? Oh, you astaghfirullah. You're you're a Capricorn. I'm a, what's not compatible with Capricorn? How you know that? How do you know that? May Allah guide you. Astaghfirullah. That was a trick question. Allah al-Musta'an, right? That's it. Some of us, that's the way we function. And Ali ibn Abi Talib was careful to teach people true tawheed in many ways. In the market, he set up checks in place and accounting centers and people that would watch the market. And he was very careful about preserving the language, the Arabic language. And he was one of the people that summoned and commissioned Ad-Du'ali, Abu Asad Du'ali. What's his name? I forgot the name. What is it? Abu Lu'lu'a? No, what's his name? I think it's anyway, the guy who put the dots on the letters, right? He put the dots on the Arabic letters. He put some of the harakat to make the Arabic language more standardized and easily understood by the non-Arabs. And in addition to that, he himself put guards on the treasury. He put guards on the prisons in Medina, and he increased the police force. He only ruled for 4 years and 9 months before the fitna and the trouble and this and that. And that's why he wasn't able to do much. And you can see a lot of his focus was on preservation of the Sunnah, preservation of the Quran, and preservation of security, adding police force. And that goes to show you the tensions that occurred in Medina. 8 minutes, we're going to discuss one of the biggest troubles in Islamic history. Ready? Keep it very simple. The best explanations and the most simple ones. So here's what happened. Uthman ibn Affan was assassinated, right? Uthman ibn Affan was assassinated. You can imagine those who are from Uthman's family. Were they happy? They were not happy. They were very upset. And they wanted immediate justice. And their point of view was, if we don't punish those that killed the previous leader, every other leader's blood would become accessible. So that camp was Aisha radiallahu anha, a respected mother, and Talha, and all these people that really, really wanted to punish the ones who were responsible for Uthman's blood. Ali ibn Abi Talib said, yes, that is important. But first we need to unite the ummah. And we need to build a strong enough resistance. And if the first thing we do is to go after the Khawarij and publicly, call all of these people to trial, then we're not going to have any security. Let's wait. Other side said, no, we cannot wait. So we need to gather and we need to make a statement very loudly heard. What do you do when you want your voice heard? You bring a lot of people, everybody who agrees, come with us. We're going to march all the way to the Khalifa and make it very clear that we are here to send a disagreement and a voice of disagreement. But also because this is the Arab world, there's a lot of threat. We're going to bring with us, just in case, just to be safe, prepare. We're going to bring with us guards, arms, and we'll be ready just in case things go south. We'll be ready to fight. We're not coming to fight. It's very clear. They go all the way to Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ali ibn Abi Talib meets with the leadership, and Ali ibn Abi Talib is very good with his words. He's a man of wisdom. He explains his perspective, explains that he's going to punish. We're going to need some time. And everybody goes back to sleep that night. They prayed together Isha Salah, and they went back to sleep, having agreed to come back and reconcile and to give Ali ibn Abi Talib some time to unite the community. Ali ibn Abi Talib, when everybody's camped at night, some people who wanted trouble between the Muslims, some went on this camp and some went on that camp and started throwing arrows in opposing camps. People didn't know what's going on. The community, the group of Ali thought it was Talha and Aisha's side that were attacking. And the other side thought the same thing. It erupted very quickly, and there was some trouble that took place. And unfortunately, one of the biggest fitnas in the Muslim community happened because of these Khawarij who wanted to create tension between and fitna between the Muslims. And what's amazing, and here's how we know this is true, a conversation took place between Ali ibn Abi Talib and Aisha later on, in which they explained their perspectives. And Aisha's side said, Wallahi, we did not initiate. Ali's side said, Wallahi, we did not initiate. But of course, by that time, there was already a lot of anger and commotion. And Ali ibn Abi Talib asked the companions to escort, to basically make sure that everybody goes back to Medina safely. And he himself even prayed the janazah on those that he disagreed with politically, but still were brothers in Islam. And when the son of one of them came to him, Ali ibn Abi Talib had tears in his eyes. And he said, I can't believe, subhanAllah, this happened between us. But perhaps I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us, your father and I, to be from those that Allah revealed the verse about. على إخوانا ونزعنا ما في صدورهم من غل إخوانا على سرر متقابلين. And we removed whatever ill was in their heart. They met as brothers upon reclining beds facing each other. Of course, it's a very long story. And there were lots of other, parties in place that really wanted to bring trouble out of the community. And of course, there were the Khawarij. And I want you to understand here, the Khawarij, they were people that said Ali is a kafir. And Muawiyah is a kafir. And they did takfir on everybody. And they said Ali is a kafir because of 3 points. Ali, after this situation, decided, and his disagreement with Muawiyah and this whole situation, Muawiyah was among the people that said Uthman's killers or murderers need to be punished immediately. So Ali ibn Abi Talib said, okay, we'll make it this way. You bring one side, you bring one representative from your side, I'll send the representative, they'll discuss, and whatever terms they come to, we'll all agree with. The Khawarij said, what are you talking about? Why are you doing hukum between people? Why are you letting people rule when Allah should be the one to rule? So Ali ibn Abi Talib said his famous word, كَلِمَةُ حَقٍّ أُرِيدَ بِهَا بَاطِلٍ. It's a good word with bad intentions. It's a good word with bad intentions. And Ali ibn Abi Talib sent Ibn Abbas to negotiate with the Khawarij. He made a clear representation of his case. The 3 points Maghrib just came in, so we'll keep it very concise. He made a very clear case to defend the Muslim or defend Ali's perspective. But unfortunately, the Khawarij still, 2,000, 4,000 of them came back and joined Ali's side. But there was still enough among them that used to recite the Quran beautifully. They used to pray a lot, but they had a very twisted understanding of Islam. And their emotions got the best of them. They were mainly youngsters who thought they were doing good for the deen. They thought that they were bringing to justice Ali ibn Abi Talib. They thought they were doing all of this for good reason, but they did not have a proper understanding of the Quran. And in one context, they said to Ali ibn Abi Talib, you should have the Quran rule, not anybody else. So we know what he said? He took the Quran, and we'll finish with this. He took the Mus'haf, and he put the Mus'haf down. And he pointed to the Mus'haf, and he said, O Quran, speak and judge between us. And they're like, what are you talking about? The Quran does not speak. Like, what do you mean the Quran does not speak? Well, Ali ibn Abi Talib was making a point. It is we, the companions of Rasulullah ﷺ, that have heard the Quran and understood the Quran and lived the Quran, and the lived experience of the Sunnah is as important because it is the manifestation of the Quran. That is one of the most iconic moments. Be careful of movements that try, the Puritan movements, only us were right, kafir, 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 kafir. Be careful of those. And this is again a key. We're just giving you the keys. Go back and understand. If you're going to take one thing from this conversation, go and read the conversation. Read the debate between the Khawarij and Ibn Abbas, who was representing the Muslims, representing Ali ibn Abi Talib's side. Read that debate in full. Try to understand it, because it will have important repercussions on the way that you understand political movements of this day and age and the context of takfir in this day and age. May Allah bless the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his family and his companions. May Allah reward all of you, Ya Rabb. Ameen, ameen. All of that is still 8:07, so there's 1 minute left till Maghrib. Jazakumullah khair. Inshallah, we can have more sessions later, bidnillah ta'ala, to get into the nitty gritty. Jazakumullah khair for your attention. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Oh, by the way, tomorrow there's a carnival. It's going to be a lot of fun from 12 to 8, and also on Sunday 12 to 8. Bring your kids, and may Allah bless the carnival and the volunteers and make it an enjoyable experience, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة